into the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production available wherever you do your downloading. You can check us out 370 George Street North here at the Capital PTBO or online anytime at thecapitalptbo.ca. Coming up on the show today, we'll have plenty of Super Bowl conversation. We'll unpack LeBron's record-setting efforts and NHL playoff format. Should they revert to the 1v8? According to Sidney Crosby, they should. Today's episode is brought to you by Goldfinger Personal Injury Law. If you need anything, if you're hurt in an accident and you want a free consultation, give our friend Brian Goldfinger a call. GoldfingerPersonalInjuryLaw.com, 877-730-1777. If you want to support the show, Patreon.com/CapitalPTBO. Jordan Mercier here. Mark Million. Matt Latour, Producer Matty. What is going on, gentlemen? How are you?
I thought he forgot my name there.
You're too memorable.
Okay. I know we should, like, every week, I know we start late. I know there's always something at the last minute, like I've got to have a drink or something, but I got a little bit of self-consciousness here. It's 2023.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of real estate here. I can let this out. No?
Yep.
So we started the show. I have no hat.
Which has only happened once in the last year.
What, are you keeping stats over there?
You notice.
What do you notice? The glare? That's what I'm conscious about.
You don't have a hat. If
So-
I'm not wearing a hat, I'm going to notice.
Is it like on your screen? Is there a glare? Yes or no?
A little bit. Yeah.
See, no.
You look
See, you're
like-
not a parent. If you were a parent, you would have said, "No, Mark, you look great."
I'm not a parent.
You look
That's
like,
what I said.
you look like
honest.
Bruce Willis.
That's no consolation.
I didn't know,
Brucey?
didn't know we're kicking off the 1-year anniversary with lies. I don't think you look like Bruce Willis.
Thank you, Matthew. That makes me feel much better.
Do you want to go get a hat?
Yeah.
Somebody get the man a hat.
I'll get him a hat. I'm the producer.
Okay.
I think it's
Part
my
of your
job.
role.
Pick
I
something.
got one.
And then we need you back here to spin the wheel of Win Nothing.
Yeah, pick
I got
something nice though.
Let's see.
Flattering.
This is the first. And as Matt mentioned, this is officially our 52nd episode. Is this episode 50? Oh, 51.
51.
51. But year over year, it is actually our year anniversary for this particular program.
Yes.
Feels good.
Yes.
There we go. Can we see that? Now, Mark, what is this? Is that bone?
Oh,
What color is that?
Oh, these are new. So, how self-serving is this? But these are actually, this is a new design that we've made. We're going to do in 4 different colorways. And it's kind of like a San Diego Padres, like a sand with a chocolate brown and a yellow. Okay, thank you, Matthew. This will actually fit because I don't like wearing snaps.
The late, great Ray Kroc would approve of that color scheme that you have on there.
Oh, that's a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks good. How does he look? Is it framing up okay on the camera?
Like
Looks much better, yeah.
Should I put it backwards?
No, that's my thing. We got the you're the frontwards hat, I'm the backwards, Jordan's the no hat.
You know what the best part about that hat is? If you log on and become a supporter of the show on Patreon,
Yeah.
there's always all kinds of store discounts that you're able to take advantage of.
Correct.
Also, exclusive content available only at patreon.com/capitalptbo. There you can rewatch some of our great interviews that only exist in that format. Steve Larmer, Brent Tully.
Yes.
Soon to be more.
Soon to be more.
I'm excited about that. So we're staying steady right now, and I believe we have 8 participants in the Wheel of Win Nothing this week.
Yes.
Yeah, which is our second week. So last week hit 8 for the first time.
Yeah.
And Jim Murray won what feels like his 20th time on the Wheel of Win Nothing.
Nah.
He's a wagon. It's tough to compete with. But nonetheless, we'll spin the wheel anyways.
Let's get one of the new guys here.
Must be
Nikki
a-
Kimball, Roger Self, Mark Million Sr. Let's see. Can we get you one?
Dara Scollard.
Dara Scollard, okay.
He's back.
Dara Scollard's back. He had certainly had difficulty getting back to the winner's circle, but there he is. Congratulations, Dara Scollard. Let's go.
The Wheel of Win Nothing is extremely important here, and my father just learned that he can watch the episodes on YouTube.
Yes.
So I went over there, and he said, "What do you mean now I can watch these episodes?" And he pulled some episode 4 weeks old, and he stayed dedicated to it and was watching it through like 30 minutes, and I had to keep saying, Dad, most of these topics are kind of outdated.
Sure.
He doesn't care.
He didn't care.
No, he was into
But
it.
the
That's
Wheel
great.
of Win Nothing caught his attention, and he thought, what is going on here? And I said, it's what everybody's talking about.
Correct.
You got to point him in the direction of Patreon. Then you get him on the wheel.
Glenn on Patreon would be crazy.
That's the end of days.
Yes. Get Glenn and Barry. There's 9 and 10. We wanted 10, right?
Yeah.
Barry called me today to ask how to put something on a USB, and it took 25 minutes. So I don't think that's happening.
Okay.
Tough stuff. Let's start with local hockey, the Peterborough Petes.
Yes.
Where are we at, gentlemen? I feel like at this point in the season, we should be buffing that number 3 seed, getting super excited for the push for the playoffs. Not feeling it right now.
This was a big turn of events, right? Going into a big week, you had Pink in the Rink Saturday night. You had the Frontenacs on Thursday night. Friday, sorry. Mm-hmm. You won Thursday night. You go to Kingston, you get beat. 7th seed. Oof. You back it up, you come in Saturday night, you get beat by the Gens.
In front of 3,900.
3,900, yeah. Which is great.
7 seed, but like they're only 4 points up on.
That was to my next point. Yeah, like between 4th and 7th place, there's only 4 points.
Yep.
You're 8 points behind Barrie now. Going into the weekend, you were 4. So this is that was a tough weekend for the boys. I listened to Wilson this afternoon on PTBO Today Live.
Freak 90.5.
And, Rob, he was right. Like that first 30 minutes they played in Kingston, I think it was Kingston.
Yeah, it was.
They outplayed them. They were there. It just hasn't translated yet. And so I don't think it's panic time. It's tough when you're 8 points out of 3rd and there's only 4 points separating you from getting down to 7th. I mean, a weekend in the OHL, you can slip as far as 6 points. That's muddy waters.
I'm just going to come out and say it because I have extremely high expectations for the team that I have vested interest in, and I'm rocking the brand today.
Yes, you are.
Got the Petes going, so absolutely 100% behind the team. But if this isn't a conference final team, this is a colossal disappointment, in my opinion.
Oh, I would think so.
With
I would
the
think you're
assembly
right.
of talents,
yes,
to not make a conference final, and now you're talking about you backslide. Suddenly, maybe you don't get home ice advantage in the first round.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you're running into Ottawa, North Bay, round 2, and now getting out of the conference final would be extremely difficult. In your opinion, what hasn't been clicking? I know Coach Wilson has talked about it, and for the most part, I agree that even when you bring in talented players, there's still a little bit of an opportunity for chemistry that needs to be rebuilt, and some players slide down lines, and some players don't get the same power play time, and what was working before is not necessarily working now, and juggling. I mean, what is your assessment of the team at this point from what you've seen the last couple of weeks?
It's hard. I'm a big Rob Wilson guy, and it's not because he walks the city streets among us here, and it's not because I'm deathly afraid of that he'll grab me and pretzel me, but the coach is always the easiest thing. It's always the easiest narrative to play that card. So to say that, I don't think that's it. I think there's a lot of high-priced talent in that room, and there's a lot of guys at the next level that want to see those kids in other situations other than, they want to see more ice time. They want to see them, have a bigger role in the power play or whatever. So I can imagine Rob's probably got a lot of that to massage, I would imagine. I think it's just in junior hockey, it's so hard. The boys don't gel until they do gel. And at the pro level, you see this all the time where you've seen teams before the cap era that, they tried to win themselves a cup, only to get thumped. So it's hard. You don't have that chemistry, and it's not something you can just drink in. So
I am not in the business of excuse making, but I want to circle back to the point that you two touched on a moment ago. And that is, I don't recall a year in which, not even just the East, but in the West, it's very similar. The competitive nature where there's really 7 teams, not that could possibly win, but that are extremely competitive and extremely close. I find one thing, if you go back and the standings would probably bear this out, at this point in the season, most seasons, I feel like you could peg it to 2 contenders in the East, 2 contenders in the West. Maybe you get an odd surprise here and there. But that being said, this year you clearly have Ottawa and North Bay, leading the way in the East. But at the same time, it wouldn't shock me if Barrie, because they got a lot better.
Yeah.
And some of the teams that, sold off some of the high-priced talent have also tied in together. When you talk about Kingston, Oshawa had a bunch of shutouts in a row.
The difference between 4th and 9th is 9 points.
Right.
In the OHL, that's almost unheard of.
Yeah.
Right.
Because usually the bottom three are all kind of bottom feeders, and one just makes the playoffs because that's how the OHL is.
Right. But I think it's the same, I think, in the West, too.
The West is a little
3
more
through
spread,
9, though, is 10 points or something.
Where
you got Windsor
56
Yeah.
and 44 in 8th, yeah.
So 12 points, and you've got 2 front runners. You got Windsor, London.
Now, my problem with the OHL has always been the first round is like it's a write-off. You don't even have to watch it.
Yeah, for the most part.
You don't get a lot of upsets yet.
No, you don't.
No. So I don't mind this. Like, I would love to see, like, if Sudbury, let's say it finishes today and we get Sudbury versus Ottawa in the first round, if they go 5 or 6, I'd be happy. Because every year, 1 versus 8 is a sweep.
Yeah.
Very similar to the NBA almost in that.
My thing with the Petes, it feels like every 2 weeks for the last month and a half, we've been like flip-flopping on this conversation.
They're red hot or ice cold.
Yeah, like
That's how it seems.
Between the old man in the YMCA dressing room telling me they should fire everyone, to us 2 weeks ago here talking about how the narrative's changed, and now here we are 2 weeks later. You said, Jordan, 2 weeks ago, as long as they make the playoffs, this team can do anything. Mm-hmm. They're a problem for anybody, I think, in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And I just looked this up, and I don't really like what I see, to be honest.
My heart of hearts, Matt, by the way, still believes that. With this collection of talent, if they get into the dance, that's great. But I'm seeing them lose games that if you're a contending team, you just don't lose.
Yeah.
They have a major lead at home against Hamilton, and somehow they let it go.
But they still
Pink
have
in the
15
ring,
games to figure it out.
3,900 against Oshawa, your arch rival. You end up losing that and giving up 7 goals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the stuff of contending teams.
No.
But you still got a bit of time to figure it. It's not like they're doing this at game 58. It's game 48.
No, that's fair. I'm okay with that.
That's fair, but you do only have, there is only 6 weeks left.
You don't want to lose home
left.
ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs.
No,
you
not
want
if
that
you could help
third
it.
seed,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
The Memorial Cup this year will be held in Kamloops. Next year, it'll be held here in Ontario.
Yeah.
And so I always look as the foreground. Who is bidding for it? Kingston Frontenacs, Niagara Ice Dogs, Saginaw Spirit,
Peterborough Petes.
No.
Sioux Greyhounds.
Two Greyhounds.
Right? So is it none of those teams are really in the wagon realm this year,
Loading up
which would tell you
next year.
that they clearly have the need or the want or both to load up.
The Ice Dogs have traded just about anybody that's played more than 5 games for them this year.
Sure.
You're going to tell me that 25-point team in February isn't going to try to load up next year to win this bid?
You have to be a great team in order to host the Memorial Cup.
I think Niagara as a destination is perfect. You got hotels everywhere. There's lots to do in the area.
I think if you look back at Memorial Cups in Toronto, in the greater GTA, they're just dumpster fires. Horrendous attendance.
Yeah, but that's the GTA. Like OHL never does well there.
Well, Mississauga's right there.
Yeah, but they never get any fans.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
You can't have it there.
You go down to Niagara. It's so
it's
hockey.
Niagara. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
I was going to say, your definition of the GTA is a little thick
I
there.
think he's got his Ice
I'm
Dogs
thinking
mixed up.
Mississauga.
He thinks Don Cherry's still coaching.
Jason Spezza.
Yeah.
I think
Sullivan.
Niagara's the perfect spot for it. The team sucks, though. They've won 9 games this year.
Poochies.
And they put the bid in.
It's going to be fun. I think what we all want as we root towards this team making a deep playoff run is just you're looking for a little bit of consistency.
Yeah.
A little bit, Matt. You nailed it. It feels like a major roller coaster ride.
Yep.
And it's interesting to watch anyways. National Hockey League, I don't really want to go all the way back to the All-Star weekend. I feel like everything's been said that needs to be said.
Yeah.
But I'll just say it was embarrassing. There was a lot about it that was embarrassing.
Yes.
Guys literally go 40% speed now.
Yeah.
Because trying's not cool, apparently.
I figured out how to fix it.
Okay.
Yesterday, it was a shower thought. Have the players' points in the All-Star game count towards their season total. You want to see guys start trying? Ovechkin's going to put up 10 goals in an All-Star game.
The Pasternak Happy Gilmore thing.
Hold on, I got a sound effect just for this.
Might have been one of the worst things I've seen. And before you accuse me of being an old man yelling at a cloud,
Sure.
because that's going to happen, you're doing a lot of these gimmicks, if you will, to attract younger fans and people who aren't considered to be those hardcore fans. Okay, cool. All right.
Sure.
So I wish I could accredit it, but there was a writer who tweeted like, this is awful. And then the immediate response was like, well, it's not for you, it's for the kids. And he said, oh, that's great. Let's dust out a skit from a 30-year-old movie.
Yeah, right.
Happy Gilmore came out in 1996.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
It's not something that is going to check the box for like some 10-year-old who's watching it and like, hey, what is going on here?
Right.
I did manage to pull like some of the crowd reaction from that.
He's on his sound effect game today.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Oh, yeah. Hey-o!
Anyways, I don't want to go all the way back, but the interesting thing in my mind that came out of All-Star Weekend was comments made by Sidney Crosby, who by and large has been a pretty quiet superstar in most regards when it comes to structure of the game and
that's right.
All of that kind of stuff. He says he would really like to see it go back to the 1 through 8 playoff format.
Yeah.
Seems to be, and we can run down a whole list because in just your lifetime, Mark, the playoff format has jumped around a whole
so much.
There was even one time it was 1 through 16. Right?
1 through 16,
and that was
80s.
the famous Edmonton beat Montreal when they had a really good team.
Correct.
So then they went to a very similar division format to what we see now, which was why if you look at the 80s in the conference finals, you'd have your Edmonton and Calgary 50-win teams. And generally speaking, they were playing the Blackhawks, the Blues, the Red Wings, and sometimes those teams were like under 500.
That's
because it was very similar in that if you were in the Norris division, you played in the Norris division for the first 2 rounds, right?
Yes.
There was 1 through 4, and it's basically a carbon copy of the way it is now.
Yeah.
Then they decided to go to the 1 through 8 format in the East and the Western Conference.
Right.
I think that would probably be my favorite version of it.
Yeah.
Just because, and to Sidney Crosby's point, and I think this was well thought out, the teams that finish first in the current format aren't necessarily guaranteed the greatest matchups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like there needs to be a reward if you're finishing 1, 2.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The division format, I mean, you can speak through the Leaf prism. I try and drown that out because look, eventually, like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to beat Tampa Bay or Boston eventually. But I understand that getting those matchups consistently, the idea was that you're going to build up these rivalries. I don't even necessarily feel like that's been the case.
No, it hasn't.
Toronto-Boston as a rivalry existed in the 1 through 8 format.
That's right.
I think we've gotten a couple. Like, I feel like Carolina and New York is a little better than it was before. Like, I feel like most of the people I see on Twitter complaining about this format are Leaf fans.
Yes.
That might be a product of me following a lot of Leaf fans. But it could also just be a product of them never getting out of the first round because the Atlantic Division is so stacked.
The rivalry thing is almost, it's 100% been created through history or it doesn't exist today. Toronto and Tampa, there's not a rivalry there. There's not. Toronto and Boston, you could argue, these are 2 original 6 franchises, so they've had their moments. But Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Islanders, Rangers. These are all matchups. These are all rivalries. Forcing it, and this is what you're doing. There needs to be a reward for the number 1 team. 82 games is a grind. Playing these games in the middle of January where you're 3 months out from meaning anything and 3 months in from the start of camp, it's got to be worth something to the team that grinds to the end.
I'm going to say one other thing about this is that I think the first round matchups, and it's not 100%, but the first round matchups are much more predictable with like 20 games to go. Whereas before, I mean, you were waiting to the last couple of games because the 8th and 7th seed could flip, and you don't see that. It seems like teams that are in the 2 and 3 seeds are pretty ironed in with about 15 to 20 games, so it loses that part of it.
Yeah, you're only getting the wild card flips.
When being a Red Wing fan, I remember when you used to be at the top of the standings many years ago, and you'd literally pay attention to the last couple of games, like, oh, I need to flip on Columbus and Calgary because
you want to see what's happening there.
And I feel like maybe that's been lost a little bit.
I would agree.
Of all the formats, would 1 through 8 seem to work the best for you, Mark, in your fanship? Like, did you feel like that was the most democratic? Like, this makes sense. The good teams play the bad teams.
I don't understand why we don't do a 1 versus 16 in today's day and age.
With the flight and the travels? Yep.
It doesn't. If Toronto had to play the San Jose Sharks in the opening round, I mean, you can revert to a 2-3-2 or whatever you have to do there. Chances are that either they will dispatch quickly, or they won't be dispatched as quickly. Like the Leafs will win or the Leafs will lose.
So if we had 1 versus 16, the Leafs in the first round get the Washington Capitals.
Right.
Sign me up.
So it's not like it's a massive problem. And in today's day, like I say, today's day and age with travel and everything else, you can make an East versus West go to a 2-3-2 format. You're still going to play the same amount of games in the same amount of days anyways. The tournament can only be X amount of days long.
If you want the rivalry, then heavily weight the division games.
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
Edmonton and Calgary don't play again this year.
That's the problem. Whereas
Which is
before,
crazy.
you used to have them where they would play each other 4 times, 6 times. You could get, 5 Saturday nights a year that had your Toronto-Montreal. So you could tell Foster Hewitt's story and the whole thing.
The one thing I don't like about the idea of 1 versus 16, and this might have been because at the time I was waking up at 5 a.m. for work, but like when the Habs went to the Cup final and they had Winnipeg in the second round and Vegas in the third round, like my sleep schedule was a mess.
Oh,
sure. Maybe for the fans it's not great because
Gary, I mean, there's your reason right there.
That's come on, Gary, come on.
Montreal
man.
and Winnipeg. Montreal and
only an
Winnipeg.
hour.
Those games are starting at 9.
I understand that, but I mean that should be all part and parcel of it. Having a better narrative of the 1980 Montreal Canadiens losing to the Oilers is a much funner, good grammar story. It's a much better story than watching Tampa, Toronto,
And that's like
watching
you think about
Carolina, Pittsburgh.
and you think like the distance, like baseball doesn't care about the distance. You could get the Angels and Yankees in the first round.
You could.
You've had it many years. How many years did Oakland play the Yankees?
Yep.
Still
Yeah,
got to
so
do
I
it.
don't know. I don't know.
Come on.
I like the 1 versus 8. I've always liked that.
The ball players play every day. Jeepers, let's go. Come on, Gary.
Miscellaneous topics. LeBron James. We're going to get to the Super Bowl, I promise.
Yeah.
Because there is a big game coming up on Sunday, and we've got you covered every which way with predictions. LeBron James, he is officially the all-time leading scorer in the National Basketball Association. You both are LeBron James fans. You both love him to death. Take me through the moment. Needed 36, went out, got 39. Pretty impressive, averaging, right around 30 points at 38, which I think is ultimately more impressive than anything he's done. It's pretty crazy. Give me your thoughts on the moment, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the moment, which will be very different.
Sure. He gets the ball, posts up, fade away, hits it. Beautiful. Winner. 11 seconds left in the third. Bronny's on the court, and Bryce is on the court, and here comes the little girl, and here comes mom, and everybody's there. And it's been so just the narrative of LeBron getting to the summit is unbelievable. I know it's longevity, it's this and that, but I mean, Kareem was 40-something.
20 years, yep.
And so getting him to that point, anytime you can get somebody to the top of the mountain, top of home runs, top of goals, whatever. Okay, the post-game show, like after he hits the bucket to pass, holy smokes. These things need to be ironed out weeks ahead of time. Like Silver and the boys need to be like, okay, we need a plan for TV. We're going to bring in Kareem here. Like, Kareem, we need you to act a certain way. LeBron, we're going to need you to act a certain way because it was cringy to watch on television. Did not translate very well.
Matt?
I think, first off, the moment was cool. Like hitting the shot, hearing the crowd erupt was cool.
Yeah.
I like the shot of the CEO of Nike being the only one not on his phone.
Everyone's got the phone, and that guy's just sitting there drinking it in.
Sure.
I like that.
Twice the age of water.
I just, I didn't like the celebration and whatnot. I get it because it's a pretty historic moment.
Feels manufactured, doesn't it?
A little bit. I just think,
Like, he had time to think about it. We knew he was going to break the record.
but now it was big and it was flamboyant. Weren't we complaining 2 months ago that nobody's really talking about this and it doesn't seem like a big enough deal? And now that it is a big deal, everyone's complaining about it.
I don't mind it being a big deal. I think LeBron does a lot of good things. I think he has, unquestionably, you could look at him and Gretzky as two players from a young age who have just totally lived up to, exceeded the expectation of what was being put in front of them, which seems almost impossible.
Well, his expectation, somebody asked him as a high school player, hey, do you know if you're not a first ballot Hall of Famer, you're probably a bust? And he said, okay, that's fine.
That's
and
fine. I'm
and
wearing
he's
that.
done everything and more.
And I love that. What I don't love is he feels manufactured all the time.
Yeah.
And there didn't seem to be a spontaneity with that. It was, I'm going to nail the shot. I'm really not going to my teammates. I'm enjoying it myself, which was totally contrast to Kareem's situation. When he hit the shot, it was like swarmed by teammates, beloved by teammates.
Anthony Davis wouldn't even stand up.
Anthony Davis didn't even stand up, which I don't read anything into, but it was kind of a funny reaction kind of thing. But then even the speech afterwards, he specifically drops the F-bomb. There's nothing spontaneous about that. He knew he was going to do it, so he did it. Okay, cool. Get away with that. That's fine. And then afterwards, doing the press conference, I did it my way. And it was almost like another heel turn by LeBron James.
That's just LeBron, though.
That is
the
him.
decision was a spectacle.
Yeah.
Like everything he does is calculated.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. So, I mean, I saw a caption on CBS Sports, cement status as the GOAT. I don't think
Unbelievable.
I don't think it matters.
Nobody thought
be honest
Kareem was
with
the
you.
GOAT.
Right.
Nobody did, but I'm going to ask you this. So let's not do the LeBron MJ. Everybody does that, and we've done it to death. We know where we stand. Whose career, I'm not asking you necessarily who the greatest basketball player is. Whose career would you want? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's or LeBron James? Career totality.
LeBron.
And let's just say LeBron's got years left in him. He'll get to 45,000 if he wants to.
Yeah. He will leave the same 7,000 that Kareem left.
I say LeBron because you go back to your hometown, you win a championship. Probably going to end up playing either against or alongside his son. Like there's a lot of things in his career that are very unique. Like the 3-1 comeback, you could argue, is one of the
3-1
greatest.
comeback for me is something that's very difficult to get past. Showtime Lakers, like 5 and 7 years or whatever they had there with Riley and the boys. Even though Kareem's he's not the centerpiece of that, right? It's Magic. But there's been the hate for LeBron, and there's been, he did rip the beating heart out of Cleveland to chase Miami. It's an interesting.
Then he went back and made it all okay.
Right, he made it, but it's like but if the
he left again.
But right, but if the prodigal,
the greatest comeback of all time.
if the prodigal son has to leave to go and educate himself to come back, I can get behind that.
It's a character arc.
The ultimate character arc that
I'll
never
still
existed.
I'll still say LeBron. I'd still take his career.
Tell the tape, boys.
Yeah,
Because I do nothing but facts.
let's hear it.
Championship, 6-4 Kareem.
Yes.
Seasons, 2020. So we know LeBron's going to go for a little bit longer. Years in the playoffs, 18 out of 20 for Kareem, 15 out of 20 for LeBron. All-Star games, 19 apiece. Season MVP, 6-4. I think we're safe to say LeBron probably not going to win another one.
I think we're also safe to say that there's some LeBron-itis
True.
in the MVP voting. There's some hate there.
Finals MVP, 4-2 for
Sure.
LeBron.
That
over
is one.
Kareem.
That is one thing about LeBron. The 2 MVPs. I mean that tarnishes, that stings a little bit.
For Kareem, like 2 out of 6.
No, the fact that LeBron, he's LeBron's all 4,
Yeah.
right? So that's something for me. Like you go back and look at those teams, and I don't mean tarnish your sting like Kareem in that way because he did have so many other moving parts. But look at the 4 MVP teams that LeBron took. He was undoubtedly the stud of the whole club.
Yep. All NBA selections, 18-15 LeBron. All defensive first teams, 5-5. All defensive teams in general, 11-6 Kareem. Scoring titles, very modest totals here, 2-1 for Kareem.
I was surprised even Kareem even had one.
He had a 30
LeBron's also passed first.
He had a 34 per season with Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
Assist leader, LeBron, 1.
Yeah,
Block leader, Kareem, 4-0.
sure.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year, 1-1. Statistics, Kareem, 24.6. LeBron, 27.2, which I believe is 4th or 5th ever. Rebounds, okay, now we're getting into rebounds, assists, blah, blah. Steals, slightly LeBron. Blocks of Kareem.
Finals appearances, 10-10.
I don't have that on here,
I'll find it. Hold on.
but it would be close to that.
LeBron, 10.
I don't think Kareem gets to 10.
10,
No.
including 8 consecutive. Kareem had
8?
10.
Oh, he did? Okay.
18 times in the playoffs. Out of the first round 14 times, finals 10 times.
I'm going to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm going to take his career, and I'll tell you why. And it's not LeBron hate. Because as I've said, I still am a bit of a stand for Wilt Chamberlain. I think he gets glossed over. But LeBron is either the second or the third greatest basketball player in my mind. So I'm not a hater. Like I'm not like Barkley. He came out and had him at like number 8.
Yeah, no,
I'm not that guy.
Oh, I hate Chuck.
I recognize his talent. He's killed my Pacers for years and years, so I appreciate it fully. I've had a front row seat. The part of Kareem's career that gets overlooked, John Wooden in the UCLA Bruins.
Sure.
He wins 3 straight high school championships, goes on, is part of the greatest college basketball dynasty of all time.
All time.
NCAA brings in a rule in which players are no longer allowed to dunk because of the dominance of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the time, Lou Alcindor. Comes into the NBA, goes off, breaks a record that a lot of people at the time felt was unbreakable with Wilt Chamberlain. He was the only one who had scored 30,000 points at that time.
That's right.
Had the most unstoppable offensive play ever, which is the skyhook.
Not defendable.
You can't defend it.
No.
Little shocked LeBron didn't try to break the record with one. There's
Would have
videos
been-
of him warming up with it.
Jeepers.
He thought about it.
That would have been so LeBron for sure.
I think he realized the side of the court he got the ball on, he wasn't doing it lefty.
I still think the college portion of basketball matters, and I know
I never considered that.
It matters less and less, I guess, because of the one and dones and the era and the high school players. I still think he went to UCLA for 4 years and dominated in that era and won national championships. Michael Jordan hit the game-winning shot in the national championship.
82,
I still think that matters.
There's a difference, though, in today. Like, LeBron comes right out of high school, right? It's a different narrative. You didn't have one and done in the 60s.
What was the window for guys coming right out of high school? Was it like mid-90s to early 2000s?
Well, you would have had Garnett,
yeah.
Kobe.
Yeah.
You know, so you're in that mid-90s wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think 90.
Right out of high school.
Yeah, I think 94.
Sean
95.
Kemp right out of high school?
No. So then it goes straight to, you think so?
There's a guy in there, that
Yeah.
late 80s guys.
And then it goes till, I guess LeBron was one, not the last.
Not the
in
last,
that
but in...
Dwight Howard. sort of
Yeah,
that
there's
era.
very few guys.
Yeah.
Sean Kemp played for the Washington Huskies in the NCAA.
Yeah, I feel like he's
should
a
have known
little
that.
bit before.
Braun went 101-6 in high school. I didn't know that.
Pretty impressive.
3 out of 4 state championships.
But this is why when we talk about the longevity chat, and that's really if you want to point to why LeBron's the greatest, it's that he's been able to sustain this longer than virtually any athlete. Tom Brady, I guess, would be the other
At that level.
But also, I mean, at that time, you were having people beginning their NBA careers when they were 21, 22. LeBron's already got 5,000 points in his pocket by that point.
Correct.
Now, the other argument is, wow, it's much more difficult to come in physically at 18. But, I mean, when you look at the NBA, I mean, it is made up of those younger type guys.
That's right, it is.
And I think most coaches would say it's the least developed version of the league that there's been, just because it's new, it's younger, it's 3-ball shooting. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take, at this point, I'm going to take Kareem's career if you gave me a choice.
It's so crazy to me, LeBron. I mean, we've talked so much about longevity in the last few minutes, but like I remember watching a Christmas Day game, I want to say in 2016, between the Cavs and Warriors. And everyone's saying, Father Time's going to start catching LeBron soon. It just hasn't.
No.
It's been 6 years.
No.
LeBron has averaged more points per game with the Lakers than he ever did with the Heat or the Cavs.
Yeah.
He's 27 and a half with the Lakers.
27 and a half. He had 26.9 with Miami and 27.2 with Cleveland.
Impressive. I would say that some of that is a byproduct of being on a bad team.
Oh, sure.
And somebody's got to score.
Sure.
But
Also just been in Los Angeles longer than he was in Miami. That kind of trips me out a little
throws
bit.
me off.
You know, the other thing that's going to be disappointing, just quickly to end up on LeBron, is that he's cold on AD. It's over. That relationship is fractured. I think you'll see a guy like LeBron. I think he's super sour on AD's broken. You know, he doesn't gut it out. He doesn't have the same longevity. That proved it last night. I wouldn't be surprised if Davis is traded.
And my Pelicans won that trade.
One other
Did they ever?
miscellaneous topic, Matt. Can I have an update on Jerry the King Lawler?
Yes.
A little bit earlier this week. Mark, take off your headset.
Thank
it's
you.
wrestling talk.
Yeah.
One of the voices of my childhood suffered a stroke.
Yep.
And I just want to know how he's doing.
So he's awake. Bit of a talking problem, but he'll be going through therapy. Had a massive stroke in Tampa Bay on Tuesday. But yeah, it's awake. He's hanging out with Jimmy Hart in the hospital, mouth of the South.
The mouth. Beautiful.
So it's good to hear that he should be making maybe not a full recovery, but a very much so a recovery over the next.
He's had health problems in the past. He had a big heart attack at a show.
Heart attack live on TV. Yeah.
I can't imagine that. For guys, an entire generation of wrestlers that looked after themselves so well.
Well, now if I hold it, here's the thing: Jerry Lawler has the record for most consecutive years wrestling a match, including in 2022.
Jerry, no.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah, it was a big thing. He wrestled September 9th, 2022 with Eric Redbeard against Elijah Dean and Zach Nystrom.
Oh my God. I don't know.
He fought for a championship in September.
That is enough wrestling talk.
This guy smacked Andy Kaufman on David Letterman.
David Letterman. He sure did.
The Super Bowl. Are we finally here?
We're here.
I'm excited about this. And we got Super Bowl trivia coming up here momentarily as well. Thoughts on the game, gentlemen? I wrote down a couple of interesting storylines that I'm going to be watching out for, but just in broad strokes. Mark, what are you thinking?
Broad strokes, I don't have a horse in this race. I feel like only because of recent history that I think Mahomes will have more opportunities to get to the Super Bowl than what a Jalen Hurts will. I do like the fact that Jalen Hurts is going to get paid here. This is big time for him. I know that it's number one versus number one, right? Like the highest octane offenses, the best defense in Philadelphia. To me, I always thought of the defense wins championships. There's a lot of running. There's a lot of ground game. There's a lot of clock eating that I think Philadelphia can do here. But again, if it comes, I'm happy to be able to watch it without having that dog, so that I can, root against or for anyone in particular. I think it will be entertaining. I hope Mahomes can play at Mahomes' level.
Me too.
Matt Latour, thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Every time I think Kansas City's going to lose, they win. So I can't bet against them anymore. It's just, and I like the Eagles. I think they've been the better team all year. Like they started 9-0, something like that, and maybe even 10-0.
They've lost only one game with Jalen Hurts, right?
Yeah, they got beat by the Giants.
Yeah. When you look at the numbers, these two teams stack up identical records coming into this game, the exact same amount of points. They both have a Kelsey brother. They're very, very similar statistically. Play style, though, they're very different. I think I'm always going to lean Kansas City in this game, but the Eagles, it wouldn't surprise me. It's not going to be an upset either way.
No, the line has held pretty firmly at 1.5.
Right.
I like the Eagles in this. I think pillar to post, they've been the best team, the most consistent team, except for the games in which Jalen Hurts didn't play. I like that. And I'm getting more excited about the matchup. Originally, I was like, well, I kind of don't like both teams. I have a strong dislike for both teams. But you pointed it out. Once I started reading, man, they're both 16-3. They both scored more than 500 points.
Yeah.
Both take care of biz. This is, best team versus best team. And anytime the scenario like that turns out, yeah, I support it.
It's not like last year. Like when the Bengals made it last year, I wasn't a believer. I was like, they lost to Cleveland twice this year. And this team's in the Super Bowl. These feel like two powerhouses in the Super Bowl.
The other thing quickly with the Eagles is they haven't sputtered once. They haven't got to the postseason. They haven't had a difficult time. They've managed to move right along. They played the game plan right from their own way. The storylines I find more interesting. Like the Andy Reid fired Sirianni, thought Sirianni was the problem in Philadelphia, wasn't. Sirianni keeps going on. Reid gets fired by Philly. It's, you know that there's admiration or respect on either side of the coaching level for either guy. But deep down, Sirianni wants to beat Reid for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Guaranteed. Yeah. And Reid would probably love nothing better than to jam his old club. I mean, mind you, it's 15 years ago.
I've got a Super Bowl question for you two. What color is the Gatorade going to be? It's the biggest prop bet every year.
This is a Mrs. M classic.
Is it?
I think we're going clear this year.
I'm saying blue. I feel like you can't ever go wrong with blue Gatorade. Orange is always a dark horse.
Are we excited about Rihanna, the halftime show?
No.
I don't mind
Did she
Rihanna.
put out anything more recent, or are these
No,
going to be
no.
old tracks?
She did a bunch of music for the Black Panther movie.
Yeah, like Shine Bright Like a Diamond.
She's got to play Umbrella. Like, Umbrella's got to be in there.
Like, come on.
Disturbia. Give me Disturbia. Come on.
No, that's not making it. Disturbia's not making it.
I think it will. I'll bet $5 right now says Disturbia.
Please don't stop the music.
Yeah.
Do we
guarantee
roll back?
they'll open with that. Please don't stop the music.
Do we roll back Eminem with The Way You Lie? Just come flying back in there?
Eminem 2 years in a row?
Yeah, 100% she's not going to finish, start to finish, just her. There'll be plenty of cameos.
I'll bet money we get Disturbia.
That is such a B hit. I don't think so.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
We found love.
Unless there's some sort of dance number with zombies or something, then maybe I could see it.
Sure.
I want this question to be answered. Mark's favorite 5 Super Bowls. I put you on the spot. You've seen more Super Bowls.
Favorite 5 Super Bowls. So, from my heart standpoint, 1991 Buffalo. There's a young 11-year-old boy watching. 91 was different, though. We had Gulf War then. So I remember, like, the halftime show wasn't what we had today. Whitney Houston sang, which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's Bills versus Giants, wide right. Norwood, which was deadly. But they did an ABC News Peter Jennings Gulf War update and tape delayed New Kids. New Kids was the halftime show, and then brought in Donnie and Johnny and Jordan.
Apache helicopters hanging outside the stadium.
They did. Yeah, right. So Scott Norwood, Otis Anderson. I mean that one. The Pats versus the Falcons. The 28-3.
How could that not be on there?
I love the comeback. I love the Jeannie Bouchard Twitter bit that was happening alongside.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
You know, so that, like, as the comeback's mounting, it's getting to be a thing.
Everyone's rooting for this guy.
Everybody's rooting. Every guy on earth is rooting for this guy. That one was fun. Pats and Giants, the first one, like Plaxico Burress. You had to throw that ball into a seal test milk carton. That's how much square footage you had in that milk box, and Eli got it there after the Tyree catch, which was the 3rd down or 4th down play. I can't remember. Nick Foles beating the Pats.
Philly special.
The Philly special on 4th down. I mean,
crazy.
The gumption it would have taken to call that on 4th and 5.
To me, that's one of the Super Bowls that felt like a regular season game because the offense was so crazy.
That's true.
But every now and then, that's okay to have.
And then that's okay.
A lot of recent ones for you.
Rams and Titans was the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, to finish on
34.
that yard and a half.
Mike Jones?
Yeah.
Tackles Kevin Dyson.
Kevin Dyson. And I mean, the greatest show on turf. I mean, that whole thing right from the beginning was just an absolute rocket ship. Trent Green breaks his leg in the preseason. Here comes some kid you've never heard of. He's a man. He's not even a kid. And they go 13-3, and he throws 41 touchdowns, and it was the greatest show. And they got to the yard and a half, and it would have been the first time ever the Super Bowl gone to overtime.
My Super Bowl confession is, and I think that's a pretty good list. My Super Bowl confession is, every year, am I the only one who does this? I watch every single one of the NFL Films Super Bowl recaps. Matt's probably not even old enough to know these things.
Or appreciate NFL
Once upon a
films.
time, before there was YouTube and a bunch of channels that used to run these things, they put together like 22-minute packages. It was originally voiced by John Facenda.
That's right.
And it's all NFL Films, ISOs and mic'd up players. And it gives you a little synopsis of the game.
Right.
And I watch 1 through whatever we're at, 56, every single year.
Wow.
And I love it. And that's why I can pull you little tidbits from each of the different Super Bowls. The part that jumps out to me that's always funny is at the end, I was watching Super Bowl, I want to say it was 7 or 8. It was Miami when they beat Minnesota.
Yes.
And it was like a one-sided one.
Yeah.
And the caption was something to the effect of, Fran Tarkenton played spectacular in a losing effort, setting the Super Bowl record with 18 completions.
Right. Yeah.
It was a different game once upon a time.
Very much so, yeah.
And I just love going back and watching some of those and seeing, like, I love that. And I know the NFL Network airs them all. They're all on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
I'm happy. Once upon a time, I almost invested like $300 in like a DVD box set. Now we've sort of moved past DVD box sets, so that was a good little landmine avoided. But I love those things. I love how they sound. To me, the biggest reason, one of the biggest reasons, other than the fact that it's just, for my money, the entertainment value on football just far exceeds every other sport. Like the endings, the storylines,
absolutely
the television product. But NFL films, to me, is what all those other sports are missing and continue to miss.
Absolutely.
Even when MLB tried to put out MLB Network, it's not even close.
It's not even close. And there's so many aspects of it where we've, you tried the Hard Knocks, and you've tried to shoehorn these things into different sports, thinking that it's the program that makes it. But NFL Films is so NFL Films because of the ISO conversations, and because of the symphony and the presentation. It's so good.
When you're down in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
There's a romance to it.
Right,
which is incredible.
Yeah.
I should give a shout out. If you want to check out one of the podcasts that MNC Podcast Productions put together, it's called My Life on the Sidelines with Jay Cohen. And one of the episodes deals with the fact that he has been to 40 consecutive Super Bowls. And this year, 41. I got off the phone with him. So he is going to be in Phoenix. That is number 41. Face value, I think $1,700 would be the cheapest ticket that you'd be able to get, single. So 41 straight Super Bowls. He's seen a lot.
That's beautiful.
He went one year with a broken leg. He managed to get a ticket to the COVID one when there was only 25,000.
Wow.
So shout out to Uncle Jay. And if you want to hear more about that story and sort of how it got started, My Life on the Sidelines with Jay Cohen.
Yeah,
available wherever you do your downloading. Favorite memories. The show is officially a year old. And each week we have new viewers who jump in.
Yeah.
And some of them are familiar with the bits. Some of them don't get a lot of the references.
Sure.
So we pegged, 3 pretty popular moments.
Yeah.
One of them has to do with the Super Bowl. So we grabbed this from the pilot episode.
Yes.
Why is there no sweet at the table?
Like candy or something.
Well, everybody kind of puts out, maybe they go with like a soft chocolate chip cookie or something to finish it. But other than that, everybody goes for the savory. Why aren't we getting a little bit of the...
You want licorice?
No. Here's a couple of things. That put out a nice lemon loaf. That would be...
That's nasty.
What do you mean?
That's a terrible idea.
No, it's not.
Nobody goes to a Super Bowl party saying, "Oh, I hope they have a lemon."
A lemon tart, something that's nice that'll finish it off for you.
This isn't Christmas dinner.
Refrigerator cookies or something.
No, that's what. No, see, I'm going to go to your party and I'm going to get some like Vortman's. Open the box and it's going to be the little red sugared cherry thing in the middle. No.
That was the first time I had ever really heard of Vortman's.
Oh, yeah. Vortman's was a classic.
Also, there was some ridicule over Matt Latour in your knowledge of the Olympics, which were going on.
Which was the trivia segment from the first ever episode.
Yeah.
Which country has the most medals ever at the Winter Olympics? 368.
Are we going to go like back and forth here, like Matt Latour first? You can ring in.
Or do you just say your name and whoever says it first goes?
I think we can decide however it goes. Doesn't matter.
Winter Olympic medals total.
Totals. 368.
I have a guess.
Yeah.
Norway?
I was going to say Norway on that one.
I will guess the USSR.
It is Norway.
Let's go.
Get out of here, Google. Oh, did Google get that one?
My hands are not on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Hands where I can
We
see
need to police that a little bit.
No.
I'm instantly getting accused for cheating.
Okay. And you didn't play the end of that clip with time. I can appreciate that.
Name
one Norway Olympian. Yeah, name one.
All of them.
Get out of here.
Everybody from Norway participates in the Winter Olympics.
The guy knows Norway but doesn't know a single Olympian. Okay, now I'm sour.
Yeah.
Owen. And just for people at home, if you didn't catch that one when we did it first, we used to have a Facebook Live aspect to it so people could comment in.
Which I minimized during trivia.
Norway. Do we got another one there?
Yeah, we got one more. And to say Matt is maybe unfamiliar with some parts of pop culture, I think this will illustrate that very well. We were talking WrestleMania performances.
Sayer says Cyndi Lauper.
Yes.
Oh,
She was in Wendy Richter's corner. And she was, that was a big deal, the partnership between WWF and MTV. And she was kind of at the front of it. Cyndi Lauper, yes.
Liberace?
Liberace. Yeah.
I can't.
That's who I had as one of your favorite musicians of all
Get
time.
out of here.
Liberace. Last but not least, the Rockettes.
A few moments later.
Can I say the funniest part of the show so far is Matt trying to pronounce Liberace there?
Yeah,
Liberous?
You guys just burying me because I'm about to win my second trivia in a row.
It's still funny.
It is.
All these
Every
years
time
later.
I go home, Barry mentions
Liberous.
Liberace.
But you did, just to go back, you didn't win that trivia, did you? Well, on Liberous?
I can
No.
go back and find out.
Maybe.
No, because you would have had to read it. Nobody would have taught you the word Liberous. You would have
think
to
we-
read Liberous.
But we gave up on that question. It was about celebrity
Oh, okay,
appearances.
I see.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, Shane Sayer, if you missed it there, Shane Sayer, longtime friend.
Do we have time for Mono e Mono?
We've
Long-time
got,
listener.
we're going to do a very tight mono-y-mono here. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So this is the city's favorite trivia challenge. Super Bowl is the category, Matt.
Just
Okay.
cap it at you can't go for a minute, Latour. You got to be
You're the one that takes all the time thinking.
trust me, B.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
First question. Give me the 4 teams in the NFL that have never actually played in the Super Bowl.
Okay, let's go back and forth.
Detroit Lions.
Yes.
Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
That was my other guess. Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
Houston Texans.
Done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How quick was that?
Good work. I feel like we're on a
Texans.
team now.
Yes.
Holy jeez. What school has produced the most starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl?
Do we have a number?
5.
Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong.
Wow. Ooh. Because Namath is one and Jalen Hurts is one. Okay. Not Alabama. I'm going to go. Notre Dame.
No.
Is that just the end of the question, or can we go again?
Yeah, let's just end the question there. University of California.
Okay.
Oh.
Joe Cap, Craig Morton, Vince Ferragamo,
Oh,
Aaron Rodgers,
Aaron
and
Rodgers.
Jared Goff. 5 of them.
sure. 3 guys before 1975. Okay.
Give me, this is an interesting one. So we know about the origins of the Super Bowl. Give me the final NFL championship game. What 2 teams were playing in it? So before the Super Bowl's advent. So 1965.
Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
I think the Cleveland Browns were the home team.
Against the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I would have guessed Green Bay too.
It is Green Bay.
Come on.
Green Bay and Cleveland. 65.
23-12 for Green Bay. And they would go on to win the first 2 Super Bowls. So they won 3 straight championships.
Huh.
All-time leading rusher in the history of the Super Bowl. 354 yards.
Oh.
A modest total. Not really a rushing game, eh? With only 4 times over 150 yards in a game.
I know this one.
I don't. Take it.
Franco Harris.
Yeah.
Nice.
Recently
Pittsburgh.
passed Franco Harris.
I've already gotten 3 kind of questions right, so I'm it's all gravy for me at this point.
Last but not least here, who has the record for the longest reception? 85 yards. Give me the quarterback and the receiver.
Oh. I've got the quarterback for sure.
Is it someone modern?
Yeah.
2004 or 3 or 5, somewhere in there.
It's not modern. It's
Right
20
era.
years ago almost.
It's half a
Easy.
lifetime ago from me, Big Fella. Easy.
Exactly. It's not modern.
Oh, man. Just for
You
that,
had to memorize a phone number. It wasn't modern.
I'm going to punish you now for this.
I don't know. Ben Roethlisberger.
No. Actually, the guy who threw it, his name is Jake Delhomme.
Yes.
I don't know this name.
Carolina Panthers. They got beat by New England.
Yes.
Now, see the receiver though.
There's an obvious
Yeah,
pick, and then there's like an under the radar
Right,
pick.
because it's not the obvious pick. I can picture this guy wears like 85. What did Smith wear? It's not him. Steve Smith.
89?
Yeah, 89. It's not him. Muhammad?
Mushin Muhammad.
Mushin Muhammad. Is that right?
Nailed it.
Yes.
Wow. That was good. I didn't think you had a chance at that one.
Yeah, 85. It was on TV this week earlier. I saw it. Wow.
Underrated little Super Bowl. Super Bowl 38.
Or
You had
87.
Vinatieri for the win, right?
Vinatieri for the win.
Yeah.
You also had Nipplegate.
Yes,
A wardrobe
you
malfunction.
did. Yes, Janet.
And I don't think a lot of people thought Carolina was going to put up that much of a fight, but they actually had a lead late in that game.
They did have a lead late, yeah. Jake Delhomme. Wow.
And actually, the Vinatieri field goal was set up by John Casey. Kicks it out of bounds. New England gets it on the 40.
Oh,
Tough
wow,
stuff.
yeah.
That's how we do the Mano y Mano challenge
Yeah.
here on the program. Couple of local shout-outs. The Peterborough Wolverines, Jeff Hackett, is being brought on board
Yes.
to the U16 team.
Friend of the store, Jeff Hackett. His family comes in more than often. That's great news. Good.
That is very
Good for the Wolverines.
This felt good. Final prediction, Super Bowl. Matt, Kansas City, you're taking them.
Kansas City, 33-30.
Okay, Mark.
Philadelphia Eagles 31-24.
I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to go 38-34. I think it's a high-scoring one.
Wow.
What do you think? You can let us know anytime. Just follow us on Twitter at MNC Podcasts. You've been listening to the Capital PTBO Sports Show, brought to you by our good friend Brian Goldfinger of Goldfinger Personal Injury Law. Check him out, goldfingerlaw.com. For Mark Million and producer Matty, I'm your host, Jordan Mercier. This has been the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production. We will talk again next week.